Welcome back, everybody. This is going to be my prediction for the 2025 NBA playoffs. So, looking back through NBA history, in the past 30 or so years, the only teams that have won the championship have been teams that have been over 53 wins. So, that's a 64% win percentage. They were top 18 in offensive rating and then top 15 in defensive rating. So a few of the teams that didn't fully fit that criteria, I believe, were the 2006 Miami Heat, who won 52 instead of 53 wins. And then I think it was the 2001 Lakers, with Shaq and Kobe, who had a lower defensive rating, but it was Shaq and Kobe. And then there was also some, I guess, like mishaps with the reffing in the playoffs there. And then back in 1995 with the Rockets, who were, I think, like a 48 win team. But yes, that was the last time that happened. But since then, it's been pretty consistent. And looking at it, the only three teams that fit that criteria are the Oklahoma City Thunder, the Cleveland Cavaliers, and the Boston Celtics. And then you do have the Houston Rockets, who match the 2006 Miami Heat, with those 52 wins and then still being fitting those other two categories. The difference between those is that, the Rockets don't really have like that MVP caliber player, that the Heat had with like Shaq and then arguably Dwayne Wade as well. But yeah, so the Thunder, Cavs, and then the Celtics. I believe the Celtics have the second best offense, and then, or the third best, and then I think they're second on defense. And then you have the Cavs, who are first offense, eighth defense, and then the Thunder, who are the Thunder are the third offense, and then the first best defense. So yeah, they're all very, very close to each other. They've been splitting games throughout the year, so it's very tough to pick who exactly I think would win those matchups. But going back to like the later seeds, in the West, you do have the Mavs and Kings at the 9 and 10 seed. So I do think the Kings are going to win that, just because Domantas Sabonis has been pretty dominant over AD throughout both their careers, and they've been winning like every single game against them this season. So I think this one's going to be the same. Between Golden State and Memphis, I did have Golden State winning that one, and the Memphis falling down a little bit. And then I did have the Kings beating Memphis, just because Memphis coaching has been kind of iffy, and they just fired their head coach. So I do think that the Kings would get the 8th seed, Golden State at 7. There was a few good storylines this season that I wanted to kind of talk about. So I'd be okay, if Golden State faced the Thunder, just because, that's been like a matchup that was there a couple of years ago, back in like 10 years ago. I was actually looking forward to the Nuggets getting the 3rd seed and the Wolves getting the 6th seed, or maybe even reverse, because the 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 seed were all like 2 games away from each other. So that would have been a good matchup again to have from last year. Maybe even like the Lakers and the Warriors getting like the 4 and 5 seed. That would have been good. But yeah, so there's a few, and then obviously like the Nuggets Clippers, we have that from like 2020, where Clippers were up 3-1 and then blew the lead. And then I guess Rockets and Golden State, that's another one from a few years ago as well. And then maybe even like Rockets Memphis, just because of like Ja and Dylan Brooks now being on the Rockets. So those are a few good storylines, but that's what I have so far. And so then I do have the Thunder beating the Kings in 4 games, just because they're so far. I think the Thunder have won every game against them this season. Nuggets and Clippers, that one's a little bit iffy. I think that they split their games this season. But the reason I did have the Clippers winning is just because the Clippers have had a 70% win rate when Kawhi has been playing with them. And then even without Kawhi, I think that they were still able to beat the Nuggets one time, just because of James Harden. So I did have them winning in, I believe, 6 games, but I could see it going to 7 as well. If Jokic, just goes crazy, I could definitely see the Nuggets winning this one as well. But that's just my prediction, and I want the Clippers to win, just because that way we get that like Shea versus the Clippers, and then James Harden versus the Thunder storyline there. The Lakers versus the Timberwolves. I believe this one was also kind of split throughout the season, but I had the Lakers winning just because Luka Doncic was able to pretty much beat them last year when they were debatably a better team. You know, they've struggled a little bit this year, just like finding their footing, even though they are like a good team. So if they would have just gotten a few more wins, they could have been a contender. But yes, I did have the Lakers winning it. It could be a pretty close matchup, and the Wolves could win it. But I do have the Lakers in 6. Rockets and Golden State, I have that one going to 7. This was another one that was kind of split throughout the year. And there's also some drama between those two teams, just with like Dylan Brooks and Draymond Green going back and forth. So this one's going to be a close one, and I could actually see the Rockets winning this and going to the next round, but it really just depends on Jimmy a little bit as well. He does work a lot better when he's like the underdog, and with the Warriors being like the 7th seed, they could make it pretty far, especially if he activates like his playoff mode. And that's why I do have them going so far here. So I do think it depends on that a little bit. And then I do have the Thunder beating the Clippers. This one, I think I had them winning in 5, just because the Thunder have won every game against the Clippers this season. But like I said, with Kawhi, I do think that they could probably get 1, maybe 2 if they're lucky, but then eventually fall to the Thunder. Lakers versus Golden State. This one was split again as well, I believe. But I do think like with Jimmy Butler now being there, it will be enough to beat the Lakers and then move on to the next round. And then I think the Golden State and Thunder, their games were split in the regular season. So, you never know what can happen with Jimmy Butler, like I keep saying. It is a little bit different from what he is used to, being the number 1 option versus now being the number 2, that Steph is there. But I do have the Thunder winning this one, and I believe I had that in 6 games. Like I said, it really just depends on how far they can go with Jimmy Butler and everybody like entering like their playoff mode and taking it more seriously. Going over to the East now. So this one, it did pretty much fall into place. Unlike the other conference, all the storylines that I wanted are pretty much here. So for the 9 and 10 seed, it is the Bulls and the Heat. So I do have the Heat, the Bulls winning that, just because they've beaten the Heat like every single game this season. And then between Orlando Magic and the Atlanta Hawks, I have the Hawks winning that. This one was also split through the regular season, and the Hawks did just win, I believe, like yesterday. They beat the Magic, so I just have them winning again, just because I would like to see the Celtics versus the Hawks again. That's a matchup that we're fairly used to in the playoffs. Trae Young versus the Celtics and whatnot, so I'd like to see that one again. And then I have the Heat facing the Bulls, and then the Magic facing the Bulls, and then the Magic beating the Bulls to face the Cavaliers like they did in the last year's playoffs, where that went to 7. But this one I don't have it going to 7. I believe I have the Cavs in 5 to go on to the next round. Pacers and Bucks, this is another one that repeats from last year. And I do have the Pacers winning again, just like I did last year. The Knicks and Pistons, this one I'm kind of upset about because the Pistons, I believe, split the games against the Knicks this year. Maybe they even have 3-1. I don't know, but it really just depends on what the Knicks can do. I know that it is a different scenario being in the playoffs, and the Pistons don't really have experience with that. So I think that the Knicks could possibly just beat them through that alone. But the previous wins show that the Pistons are like winning against the Knicks more often than not. So that's just why I had them moving on to the next round here. But either team I could see winning this. I would like it to be the Knicks just because I actually had them, being like number 1 or 2 seed this season, winning 60+ games. But obviously that didn't happen. I just don't think that Thibodeau's coaching style really fits their team too well. But yeah, so I have the Pistons winning that. And then I think I have them winning in 6 games. I'll say 7, just because you never know with the Knicks. Maybe the next one in like 6 or 7, who knows? And then the Celtics I have beating the Hawks in 5. From there, I have the Celtics beating the Pistons, I believe in 6 as well, just because the Pistons have been able to give the Celtics a little bit of a run for their money, even in like past years, like last year when the Pistons were losing, they almost broke their streak against the Celtics. Cavs, Pacers, I have the Cavs winning in, I believe, 5 as well, but I think they did split their games this season. Cavs, Celtics, this one's tough. I could see this one going to 6 or 7. I would like the Celtics to win, but then it's also like I would like to see Cavs, Thunder, for like LeBron and KD. But it could go either way. I could see either team winning. I don't really see this Cavs beating the Thunder, but I could see the Celtics beating the Thunder. They all split their games, so it's kind of hard to tell. I'm not 100% sure, but I guess that's all for now, and we'll just have to see how it goes. So I hope you all enjoy the playoffs, and I will see you on the next one.